Shots fired. Dillian Whyte has clapped straight back at the Gypsy King. The war of words continues. I'm going to read this tweet here from Dillian Whyte. He says, "Unlike you, I'll fight anyone." At Tyson Fury, "You refused to fight me as I knocked you down so many times in sparring. And if you pull out in November with yet another fake injury, I'm more than happy to take your place and smash up that other coward at Bronze Bomber." So there you go. Dillian Whyte clapping right back at the Gypsy King. Now, as far as what Dillian Whyte has said here, the most interesting thing and what everybody's talking about is the fact that he claims to have knocked down Tyson Fury many times in sparring. And I'll get onto that in a second. He then says, if you pull out with yet another fake injury, Tyson Fury has pulled out of fights before, most notably the Ustinov fight, where a lot of people were dubious about whether he was really injured. I think he was supposed to fight Chisora, wasn't he? That was supposed to be the original date of the Chisora rematch, but Chisora pulled out, and then he was replaced with Ustinov, and then Fury pulled out at the last minute. Something like that. So maybe that's what Dillian Whyte is referring to, and there might have been one or two other pullouts for Tyson Fury as well that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. So Dillian Whyte talks about that. And then he says he's willing to step in and face the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder. Well, yeah, you know, we expect that. Dillian Whyte wants a title shot, preferably against Wilder. If not against Wilder, then I'm sure he would take Manuel Cha or Freza Kendo, whoever's going to win that fight, whenever the hell that fight happens. So, yeah, it's interesting times in the heavyweight division with all this bad blood, beef, war of words going on. Now let's get on to what Dillian Whyte said. This is what most of you are interested in. What Dillian Whyte said about knocking Tyson Fury down in sparring. Now, a lot of the Fury fanboys, and look, there are fanboys of every fighter. There are fanboys of Wilder, there are fanboys of Joshua, there are fanboys of Fury. But a lot of the Fury fanboys are instantly dismissing what Dillian Whyte is saying. Oh, there's no way Dillian Whyte could knock him down. No way did that happen. Lies. BS. Well, none of us know. Before you start dismissing everything, none of us know whether it's really true. I don't know. You don't know. But is it plausible? Is it, you know, a realistic possibility that Dillian Whyte knocked Tyson Fury down in sparring? Yeah. Why not? Tyson Fury's been down in pro fights against Nevin Pikage and Steve Cunningham, two people who don't hit anywhere near as hard as Dillian Whyte. So I don't see why it's impossible for Dillian Whyte to have dropped Tyson Fury, particularly when this sparring happened. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to this particular video here, which is an interview with Dillian Whyte back in 2012. And in this interview, he talks about sparring Tyson Fury. So the sparring was shortly before this interview, I guess in the days or weeks before this interview. Now, if you go back to 2012, in Dillian Whyte's career, and this particular interview was conducted at the Troxy, all right? You go look at the Troxy. When Dillian Whyte fought at the Troxy, it was here. On the, is that 2nd of March? Yeah, the 2nd of March in 2012, all right? Dillian Whyte at the time, I guess that was after his fight when he had this interview. Dillian Whyte at the time would have been 5-0, okay? When he sparred Tyson Fury, he was 4-0. Tyson Fury at the time, if you line up the timelines here, Dillian Whyte talks about Tyson Fury preparing for the Martin Rogan fight. So that's when we know it happened. So it happened after Fury's fight against Nevin Pikage, when Whyte was a 4-0 novice. And Fury, I'm not sure if he was British title at this time. He might have relinquished the British title by this point, because he was supposed to fight David Price, but he gave up the British title, didn't fight Price. And, you know, he won it against Chisora. I'm not sure if he'd given it up by the time he fought Pikage, you know, I can't remember. But either way, he was coming off the Pikage fight. So he was sparring Dillian Whyte after that. Pikage dropped him. This was not the Tyson Fury we know today. So I don't see why it's unrealistic, why some people find it so hard to believe that Dillian Whyte dropped Tyson Fury around this time in Fury's career. Obviously, Dillian Whyte has come on a lot since then as well, but only in some ways. Because back then, in Dillian Whyte's 4th, 5th fight, he was weighing around 230 pounds. Okay, in his 4th fight, 231, in his 5th fight, 229. So he was a lot lighter back then, and for my money, in much better condition, at least aesthetically. Dillian Whyte was able to move around the ring a lot faster back then because he was a lot lighter. And this is when he was, to be fair, this was before his ban for taking the over-the-counter supplement Jacked. So I'm not sure if he was taking Jacked early on in his career. He did turn pro at 252. Is that when he started taking Jacked and Jacked helped get his weight down? I don't know. His weight did go up again to 250. Okay, that's after his ban. Okay, so just before his ban, actually, he was weighing 240, which is quite heavy. But I do remember in his early days, Dillian Whyte looked way more athletic than he does today. Just way lighter on his feet and all that kind of thing. And somebody like that against a tall, awkward guy like Tyson Fury, someone who's lighter on his feet, is probably more likely to be able to land something. But then again, the Tyson Fury who fought Pikage, you didn't have to be that light on your feet to land on him. He was squaring up a lot of the time. He was trying to have a fight with you a lot of the time. So maybe he was doing that in sparring too. I don't know. And maybe there were residual effects from getting dropped by Pikage. You know, maybe he was doubting his own chin a little bit, Tyson Fury. I don't know. And interestingly enough, right? Dillian Whyte, I remember Dillian Whyte talking about Fury Klitschko before the Fury Klitschko fight happened. Okay? In some interview. And I remember Dillian Whyte saying that Tyson Fury is chinny. I remember him saying that. Now, perhaps he was just basing that on the Nevin Pikage fight and the Cunningham fight, or maybe he was basing it on personal first-hand experience of dropping Tyson Fury himself in sparring. Who knows? But that is food for thought right there. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Have a watch of this interview right here. Dillian Whyte talking about sparring Tyson Fury. There may be other videos out there as well where Dillian Whyte talks about Fury and Fury talks about sparring Dillian Whyte. And I'm talking about old interviews. So you guys can do some digging if you want. I'm sure I have heard both guys talk about sparring each other several times before. And obviously, Dillian Whyte was cool with the Furies for a long time. In this interview, he says the Furies treated him very well and he went up there, he stayed with the Furies and all that kind of business. So he was cool with the Furies for a long time and he was cool with Peter. But tension between Dillian Whyte and the Furies really began when I think it was a couple of the Furies picked Dillian Whyte to lose a particular fight. It might have been a Chisora fight they picked him to lose. And since, you know, Dillian Whyte took that the wrong way and started bad-mouthing the Furies, you know. So it is what it is. But to be fair, the Furies always had a lot of respect for Dillian Whyte prior to all that. In fact, this is the first time I can really remember, other than John, you know, John Fury came out and was rubbishing Dillian Whyte quite early on after John came out of prison. And Peter Fury actually apologized to Dillian Whyte for what John said, like publicly. But other than John, who's a loose cannon anyway, the rest of the Fury team, including Tyson himself, have been relatively respectful of Dillian Whyte over the years and said complimentary things about him. In fact, I remember Tyson Fury being ringside for one of Dillian Whyte's fights. One of Dillian Whyte's early fights, and Tyson Fury was like cheering Dillian Whyte on from ringside. I remember that. Maybe that was an IFL interview. So anyway, let me know what you guys think of this back and forth between Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King versus the Body Snatcher. Some people have asked me, who do I think would win in a fight between the two of them? Tyson Fury at his best, all day long, hands down, beats Dillian Whyte, in my opinion. All day, every day, and twice on Sunday. That's just my personal view. You know, the Gypsy King would beat him. But the Gypsy King right now, him versus Dillian Whyte is a much more competitive fight. But I don't think the Gypsy King will be going anywhere near Dillian Whyte until the Gypsy King is, you know, a hell of a lot better than he was against Pianetta. And he might be a hell of a lot better against Wilder than he was against Pianetta. We know he's going to be better because he's got 3 months more to prepare. But how much better is the question? Perhaps it will be a massive amount better. And if he manages to beat Deontay, well, in fact, I'm going to talk about the consequences of Fury beating Wilder in a separate video, because there are some pretty big ramifications, knock-on effects, if Fury does beat Wilder. So I'll talk about that separately. But yeah, let me know what you think about this Dillian Whyte, Tyson Fury situation. Drop it all in the comment section below. All right, it's happening. I'm out.